Hi, I'm back to finally, no, probably not finish. There's too many reasons. It goes on and on forever, for eternity, of why Latin Mass is better. So, I've got these notes to finish tonight, but I have a whole nother set of notes that I made like 2 months ago that are totally other different reasons why Latin Mass is amazing. So that'll be another video tomorrow. But anyways, I was on number 18. I am in my room. Here's my son's homeschooling desk. There's his papers, books for the morning, all ready to go. I do that every night. And then there's I've got like 3 times that amount of books, but that's some of them. There's my shrine I pray a rosary at. There's my window that sees a really, really pretty view. Anyway, so today was a good day. Just hung out with the kiddos, the family. Okay, well, number 18 was basically that there's zero risk for change with the Latin Mass because it's just using the dead language and it's just the same, or at least very close to the same, over hundreds of years. And so there's such a small risk for corruption and like liturgical abuse, which is kind of a big deal when Jesus told us to do things a certain way and there's like consecration of his body and blood. And I mean, honestly, I want all the sacraments in Latin, and I want the words from hundreds of years ago being used. I want baptism in Latin. I want, confession in Latin. I want because why risk that you get some modern liberal priest that just kind of wings it and does it his own way? Why would you risk that when you can go to a Latin Mass priest that is dedicated to doing everything the old way? So, and also it's easier for priests to do all the sacraments in Latin because it's just set in stone. There's no choices. Like, you have all these different options, like Eucharistic choice to one, and I remember when I followed along in the new Mass or the English Mass, they have these options and the priest almost always chooses the short one. And with the Latin Mass, it's just set, easy. They don't have to entertain. It's all in yeah. So, number 19. 12 prayers of the Roman canon. Yes. It's so beautiful, just how it goes on, and the beautiful prayers, and that don't even exist in the new Mass. And they just take out all the names of the saints, and the priest usually in the new Mass, like I just said a minute ago, chooses the easier way or the easier prayers. And the Latin Mass is no, you will mortify yourself and we will pray all of these. And that's the Catholic way, isn't it? All the saints, didn't they all mortify themselves and go the extra mile even if it was harder? I don't know. This makes sense to me. I wish I had my missal. It's all the way up there in the car, and it's way far away. To just read the prayers to you guys, it's beautiful. And also, like, overall, I've noticed that, and I totally have noticed this, that the sermons are better at Latin Mass churches, because I feel like the priest, his goal at the Latin Mass church is just straightforward: speak the truth, teach something about either the gospel or the epistle, or just teach something Catholic. And it's very straightforward, easy to understand, and a lot of the time very deep, you know. And then you have the, you know, English Mass. These priests have pressure to, like, entertain these very worldly parishioners who don't know, you know, they don't know. And like, so the pressure isn't there as much for a Latin Mass priest to entertain. Because you go to Latin Mass, even a worldly, like a more secular person knows you're not there to be entertained. It's Latin Mass. It's down to business, you know. Anyway, and then number 21, all the children, all the families. That's another thing that drew me to the church I was at before I moved, was all these families with like 8,000 children. It's amazing. And you don't feel like bad for going in and out. Like, I always just sat at the back just in case with my little one. I mean, I'd like to sit up, have sat closer for my older kids to kind of be closer to see, but, you know, I didn't want to disrupt anything, so. But all the families with kids sat in the back and just came in and out, like, multiple times, because they don't give up. Like, they really want to be present at the Mass with their family together. But, you know, sometimes the baby goes out for 5 minutes and then calms down and comes back in, and it was just like a normal thing. That's not a normal thing at the English Mass. Like, the people, they don't have as many children, because they're not, like, you know, it's pretty rare for even Catholics to have 8 kids anymore. And then B, they, like, there's cry rooms for 1, and for 2, for 3, they get overwhelmed. Because, you know, they'll have the 2 kids, and they'll just stay out of the church for the rest of Mass once the baby cries, to not disrupt, because there's fewer kids, and, you know. Anyways, I'm going on. This list. Okay, so I just kind of ranted in my last little bit of notes here. So this list doesn't even touch on all the corruptions that have happened since 1965, which I might go over on another video. I'm kind of making these videos because I've got a handful of people that kind of challenged me on my newfound love for the Latin Mass. And so I wanted to put it all together. I mean, like I said, it's not even close to done. But so, also Mary said the changes in the liturgy, there's going to be evil changes in the liturgy. Also, the devil during exorcisms have talked about the priests abandoning the truth and changing the Mass, and people receiving Jesus on the hands, and the belief in the Eucharist drastically decreasing. And they just did a study like a couple weeks ago, and it's like 70% of people don't believe in the Eucharist. Why are you even Catholic? People are so lost. Anyways, and then go to sung Solemn High Mass, like I already said. It blew me away. So 30 servers, like 30,000 servers. The symbolism, the reverence, the chant, the bells, the incense. There's really no words to describe how beautiful Solemn High Mass is, especially at a a Gothic, beautiful cathedral-like church. One I went to didn't have a bishop or anything, but so I don't think it can be called a cathedral. But anyways, Mass. So really, again, I think I said this. Mass is the greatest act that we can do in our life. I read that in a book a few months ago. And, like, why not go to the most reverent, most beautiful Mass, if you have children especially, to show them, to teach them, like, how is the best way to do the most beautiful act you could possibly do. Like, if English Mass goers want the Mary statues, and they want everyone to dress up, and they want the special prayers, and even like some Latin music for First Communion, for their baby's baptism, etc., for their wedding. What's more important? I heard this in a video recently. What's more important than your wedding, or your baby's baptism, or your child's First Communion? The Mass. like where you join in with Jesus on the cross, and then you receive him in the Eucharist. That's infinitely more important. I mean, so why not give the Mass that, respect, to dress up and to have the Mary statues and have the veils and have the Latin music and have all that ornate beauty every Mass. And that's all that the rad trads are asking for. Well, it's not all, but so I really believe that the devil tore apart the Mass, and I don't just believe this based on my personal beliefs. I believe this based on logical study about what Mary has said, and about private revelation. And so I guess technically you don't have to believe it, but if you combine the private revelation with the statistics and the lack of belief in the Eucharist anymore, and the divorce and the annulment rates, and combine it all together, it's a lot of evidence that this was the devil's hand in the church, Go to Latin Mass. Bring back the beauty, okay? That's all I'm saying. And my next video will be probably the most controversial and the most interesting, in my opinion, out of all the videos. So, yeah. I never say this because I hate it, but if you would so share all these Latin Mass videos, because I really want daily Latin Mass where I go to church. So the more people that start to love Latin Mass, maybe my priest will give me daily Latin Mass. So it's really for selfish purposes that I want you to show everyone any Latin Mass videos. So, okay. Adios, amigos.